And we're live!
You son of a bitch.
I always want to do it once.
That's the one!
And we're live! Hello everyone, my name is Justin.
And I'm Steven.
And today we're going to be talking conspiracy theory.
Ooh.
We're going to be talking about JFK. Who assassinated him?
I don't know. So many possibilities.
Somebody did it. He definitely died.
He definitely got shot.
Or did he?
Dun dun dun.
Jinx, you owe me a puppy.
Oh, damn it. Was it? Is there a clone of him walking around now?
I mean, maybe.
Is he really still alive?
Maybe there was definitely a body double. Maybe.
Let's get into the backstory, though.
Let's do it. What are the facts that we know?
November 22nd, 1963. In Dealey Plaza in Dallas, Texas. The motorcade is going down, turning into Elm Street, going at 10 miles an hour. A shot rings out, though it sounds like a firecracker. Nobody is thinking of anything. They don't think
anything
gunshot.
of it. Yeah.
A second shot comes out shortly after. The president grabs at his throat. At this point, Secret Agent Hill.
Badass.
Secret Agent Hill, who is a badass.
Yeah, he's like the only one on.
He's the only one who's like,
he's got it.
Something's going on.
And not only he's like the fucking coolest looking secret agent, he's like the most
black glasses. He's like what you expect a Secret Service.
He looks like
agent.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
Like, he's the coolest guy.
He was Jackie O's bodyguard.
Yep,
He was
Jackie O's bodyguard.
Well, that's the one you want. The one that moved and hurt after the fucking first shot. You knew it was it.
So he starts to head for the president's car. 1.6 seconds after that, a second shot rings out, hitting the skull of John F. Kennedy.
Boom.
The car would take off for the hospital. Shortly after that, there would be chaos and ensuing conspiracy theories coming from that. 45 minutes after that, Lee Harvey Oswald is captured after shooting a police officer, and he is caught
in the movie
theater. Yep.
Weird place to go after you shoot the president.
You're like, that's the last film you're gonna watch. Yeah.
I don't know.
Wind a little bit.
70 hours after, he is killed by Jack Ruby, leaving the police station, heading to the county jail.
Which is weird too, because no protection, just walk out in the street.
Well, he's still in the police station when they're walking them out.
Yeah.
He's being held by a detective and several other officers. And Jack Ruby just walks right up to him and shoots him.
Seen the footage?
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy.
I mean, the actual shooting of JFK is the most watched video in the world.
Really?
It is. Yep. It's the most watched video in the world.
Wow.
It's funny because I mentioned when we were watching stuff about it, I was like, I have seen this clip since I was like probably 5 or 6 years old.
Oh, for sure.
And it's like that's the first literal actual murder and one of the only actual murders I've ever witnessed.
Well, because
watched,
if you're not a weirdo that watches that Faces of Death stuff, not really like looking at people getting shot, but it is circulated. Yeah. I don't think as an adult, I haven't watched the real video close up.
Yeah.
Since we did the research for this, and since then I watched it I don't know, 20 times. Yeah. Really looking at it, trying to inspect. Because once you get it, it's like a puzzle. You're like, look at it. This is so weird.
Just imagine, growing up at that time and then thinking, 80% of the population thinking, this is a conspiracy theory.
Because, generally just my first impression of the footage would be, it looks like an explosion of blood and shit, and right in front of his face, and it looks like someone slapped a steak on the side of his head.
Yeah.
And then it looks like He goes back though. He looks like he got shot from the front, and then the shit popped out of the front.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But I mean, it doesn't make sense. Like bullets, the entry wound from the back of the head would have caused more damage in the front.
Yeah.
But you know, that's why it's so like initially just from that footage. If you just watch it, it's just it looks like it contradicts.
And there's so many secondhand accounts of hearing multiple shots. 2, some people say 3, some people say up to 6 shots they heard. So I mean, you know, you have all these people there at this, you know, at this time with so many different accounts, and then people analyzing this after the fact, seeing things, you know, what people would say that they want to see, or you know, seeing things that maybe they did see. So that's really the breakdown. And today we're going to be talking about some of the main conspiracy theories,
like the big ones,
and the big ones, and then we're going to just be talking about it, our thoughts at the end. Definitely, if you like our content, so, you know, like and subscribe. Yeah. And we're going to be starting off with LBJ Johnson. He's, you know, a lot of people said he had a lot to gain by, you know, with Kennedy passing away.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely wanted the office, and then wasn't he mad because he lost?
Yeah. So at the Democratic convention in California, he actually was going for the presidential position, and the party just, you know, didn't, you know, get behind him. Kennedy was obviously like the clear, you know, guy. Yeah. You know, but
definitely they needed a better
Texas.
Speaker.
They needed Texas, and that's where Lyndon B. Johnson's from. So, you know, Kennedy wasn't a big Texas fan.
Well, I thought during the time of the assassination, he was actually doing better. JFK was actually like polling pretty decent in Texas.
Yeah,
like he was like gaining favor there.
Approval rating.
Yeah, his approval rating was going up.
Yeah, I think the thing was that Democrats in general weren't doing well in Texas, which is historically a red state.
Well, it was bad for LBJ because if he loses Texas, that's like huge.
That's his only thing. So he needed. That's why he was Texas. The vice president. Yeah. You know, he was the vice president to keep Texas.
Yeah.
You know, so if they lost Texas, which it seemed like it would happen, you know, that they were going to be losing seats in Texas, then why is Lyndon B. Johnson the vice president? So it calls into basically, why is this guy the vice president if we don't need him to be? Because there was open like dissent between the Kennedy group and Lyndon B. Johnson's people. So like within the White House, there was openly, you know, disdain for one another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He pretty much. Well, JFK was pretty much pissing everybody off too. It was like, like I think his policies even were like went against like what like the common democratic views were. Right.
So if you're talking today, he would be the guy who would be like actually bringing forth change. You know, with you know. Today, he just really went against what it meant to be the president. You know, he just was not playing ball, right?
Yeah.
And you know, a lot of people come into office, I feel like, and say that they're gonna, you know, do this radical change, but when you're in there, it's tough. This guy was like, I'm doing that, and people didn't like that.
No. Well, whenever you
you know, people don't like change in general, but especially these people who, you know, these organizations like the FBI and CIA, when you're talking about radical change within these organizations that aren't even governed by the government itself, you know, it really even causes
some gears.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I think going back to LBJ, like even like the biggest like hint thing was that the night before, allegedly, who was it? What's her name? Madeline Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was like his mistress supposedly, and then like he was like, he was with her, and they're at a party with J. Edgar Hoover and who else was it?
And Nixon.
Nixon, yeah.
Yep. Those are the big names there.
Yeah.
There were more, but yeah.
And then he's like whispering to her like, what was it? The Kennedys won't embarrass me again after tomorrow.
In quotes, the Kennedys will never embarrass me again. That's not a threat. It's a promise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So very ominous, very much like. But again, that allegedly happened. I mean, they can't prove it, but
yeah, that's hearsay. That's like a supposed mistress who came forward in 1994. I think it was. I think it was 1994 or 1996.
I think it was 19. Yeah.
It was in the 19.
I tried looking for the quote before and I couldn't find it, so I'll have to check.
But basically, what it was is LBJ, I think, is saying, okay, I'm willing to play ball, by the rules. There were a bunch of weird things that happened after the president was announced dead. LBJ they immediately sent him to the airport, and he went for Air Force One, and they're waiting for.
It was 1992.
1992, she said. And they're waiting for Jackie to get there with the remains of the president. But he is insisting that before they take off, that he is made president.
Yeah, sworn in. Yeah.
He is sworn in as president, and he needs Jackie's her say, like, she has to say yes.
It's
really
a blessing.
It's a blessing, yeah.
That's like a thing, or is it?
I'm a cut in for this one. Fuck Johnson for doing that.
Yeah.
Because that was messed up.
I mean,
he tried to do it under the guise of, no, Air Force One can't fly over American soil without a president.
That's what he said?
The
That's what he
body was still warm, bro.
Yeah.
Like, you could have waited. It was a short flight.
Like, I was
Fuck Johnson for that. That was tacky. You're tacky as shit.
It needs to happen. Like, that needs to be a president.
Yeah.
Because I mean,
just until they got back to Washington.
Yeah. Although, I mean, I get the
urgency.
Yeah, the urgency of it. Like, I get you need.
Oh yeah,
to have a president in office,
a whole day, but.
Yeah, I mean, he was like...
The thing is that with vice presidency, it's obviously implied that, whatever happens to the president, you're next. It's yours.
I get that, but the speech when he gets off the plane, when they land back in D.C., and he does that speech, and the whole time he's just looking miserable, and he's pissed off that he had to wait.
They made me wait on the plane.
I had to wait 4 minutes.
4 minutes.
Everyone's over. Everyone's looking at the dead president. You know what's happening, but
no one cares about.
No one cares that I'm the president now. It's my time to shine. Goddammit.
Geriatric fuck. Like, ugh.
Him and Lady Bird.
Yeah, him and Lady Bird. Oh my god. That mug.
But basically, the thoughts is that LBJ was in on the conspiracy that Lee Harvey Oswald didn't act alone, that he had guidance from the president and then probably officials within the government who are loyal to Lyndon B. Johnson. Mm-hmm. But that's not where the conspiracy trail ends.
No. There's actually so many.
Oh, there is so much.
We've only picked a few.
We only did a few. We did what we thought were the big guys. There is many conspiracy theories. This was also. There were multiple investigations. There was the Warren investigation, which was the original one, and after that, there were two more done. One was in the 70s, I believe, and the other one was in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Really?
So, yeah, there were multiple investigations.
Because basically what happened is very few people actually believed the Warren... Well, the Warren Committee was generally regarded as okay, yeah, this is a thing. But
it seemed like a shit show.
It kept getting called into question.
Yeah.
Because they were but did they actually do their job? The answer is no.
Well, it seemed like I heard like they were understaffed, like really hardcore. They had really crazy time constraints.
Yeah, they had.
I heard it was like a problem.
They had a full staff. The problem was that multiple organizations weren't willing to share information with them. So the CIA wasn't sharing their information with them, and the FBI also wasn't sharing information with the Warren Commission. So they were kind of going in this kind of blind, considering the Dallas PD really botched the whole investigation.
It seemed like as soon as he was shot and everything, everyone just lost their shit, and everyone just like didn't follow procedure. Nothing was done. Yeah. I mean, you could look at it like at one direction and be like, oh, they're destroying evidence, they're silencing people, and all this stuff that like leads to conspiracy stuff. It's either that or they're just like grossly incompetent.
Yeah.
Like as soon as something major like the president dies, like everyone's just losing their shit. No one's doing anything, and everyone just like collectively just like is incompetent or like very, you know. I get that too. Like maybe like some of that is, but like yeah, like even going back to now and stuff, so much shit was destroyed. Like it's like it does seem like they were covering shit up, especially like everyone that was directly involved died.
Yeah. Like,
you know, with the shooting.
Yeah.
Like Ruby, fucking Oswald.
Yeah.
And then a whole bunch of other people died.
All the, Oswald obviously died before he could make the official statement. Ruby died 4 years afterwards, but didn't make, they said that he potentially would be talking, but he
was in there for 4 years. If he was going to sing, he'd probably sing by then, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's part of my thought. But another theory is the CIA was involved with Cuban exiles to take out the president. Now, this theory basically comes from, the Bay of Pigs was a big, it was a big debacle. It was basically, the CIA was there. It was the CIA's plan to overthrow Castro. They had all these Cuban exiles that they had been training, and they were going to basically take back the island, pro-democracy, especially being so close to the U.S., Cuba, we wanted to hold it as being a bastion of freedom and democracy. Kennedy kind of... So what it sounded like was Kennedy last minute kind of called off the air support, the naval support, and didn't allow the Marines to join in the Bay of Pigs.
When you were researching this, did it seem like the CIA or military officials were like, this is happening, and then like they were almost working independently?
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, the president finds out, like, oh, you can't fucking do that. You don't do that.
Yeah.
And then there's like a rift there.
That's what I think it was. Is I think that the CIA in general, I think, works autonomously, and it just kind of does its own thing.
I think especially back then.
Back then. And it was like, you don't question what we did. The shadow organization. You just give us money and we make sure
you're safe.
Yeah. So I think there was that rift. It was just like, he was like, no, like I'm the president. No, this isn't happening. This is not what I want to do. And they were like, well, fuck you. This is what we're doing. It's already happening. You know what I mean? I think they thought if it's already happening, they're going to go with it.
Yeah, this is what I'm doing. I mean.
So obviously it was a big disaster. A lot of Cubans died on the beaches. A lot of them were captured. I believe some CIA agents were also captured. And it just was a huge failure that apparently Kennedy basically apologized for the Bay of Pigs, and he said that it was the United States' fault. It was a big failure, but he later would go directly to the CIA and privately blame them and talk about how bad of a job they did. And he would later, there was some worries, I think, within the CIA that they would take powers away from them and the FBI. So I think
Kennedy was like, he's wanted to dismantle them.
Yeah.
Like, he was like trying to get them down, yeah.
Yeah. And I think, these exiles, right? They're pissed. You were literally putting your life on the line to bring, to end Fidel Castro's reign and bring democracy to this island. And
kind of goes into Oswald and his Cuban
Cuban ties.
His Cuban ties. Yeah, he was with the was it the Free Cuba Committee?
Yep.
Or something like that. That was in New Orleans though. Yeah. That wasn't in Dallas. It was in New Orleans.
In Dallas.
Yeah. So I mean, he has that kind of tie there.
Yeah.
It's a little loose, but I mean, he has a whole bunch of shit that like he bumps into CIA.
Well, yeah,
it's not out of the question.
Weird thing with his like security clearances and his potential affiliation with the CIA, even going back to when he was just a private in the Marines.
Yeah,
So I think it's thought that he was
involved.
He was a part of the CIA. I think some people think that he was a part of the CIA, and this goes into the umbrella theory, the umbrella man theory.
Oh yeah, we will give. What was the quote there? We'll get into the umbrella man.
No, it's a part of the Cuban.
I guess it is because supposedly
the Cuban man,
or the dark complexion man, is the theory of it.
So apparently, in the Cuban exile theory, the Cuban man is seen raising his arm, cheering.
Yeah,
and while he's doing that, the umbrella man lifts up his umbrella, and that's when the president is shot.
Yeah,
as he's passing. The umbrella
man. The guy in a suit.
Yeah.
Holding up an umbrella.
So that's when the fatal shot happens and Kennedy is dead. Is when the umbrella man comes by and singles. Or some people think it was a dart.
That's ridiculous. There's no fucking way. Like the penguin, yeah.
Yeah, like the umbrella itself was a weapon.
I mean,
nobody checked his umbrella.
It exists. Well, supposedly he turned it in. Like the next day, other day he shows up.
No,
I'm the umbrella man.
He came like months.
Oh, it's months later because I think once that rumor started.
Yeah.
Like because the videotapes.
Oh, here's the umbrella.
There's no dart in here, guys.
This isn't another umbrella that I had. Yeah, this is the one that I had that day.
It's just kind of. That's a ridiculous theory. I mean, the signal thing is kind of okay, maybe, because like it's a sunny day and everything like that. But we also heard that other theory that like it's a form of protest going back to like I think England does it. It's a
it was a protest for appeasement.
Appeasement, yeah.
Yeah, it was a protest that for British appeasement of the Nazis. Basically, they had appeasement during World War II, and apparently. Kennedy's father was an appeaser.
Yeah. That's why he was doing it. And he raised it to make sure that JFK could see it.
Yeah, exactly.
Sounds way more plausible than this man shooting a dart from his fucking umbrella.
Hey, you don't know. There's a lot of cover-ups.
It's so funny, though, because if you really think about it, that is such a specific, like, no one else is going to get this fuck you to the president. Like, bro, the president probably doesn't even get it. Like,
even at that point,
you're not cool.
No, this guy is the original hipster.
He sounds
Honestly,
like a
yes, that's exactly what it's
like. He's for one, he's like probably British.
Yeah, he comes from a British family.
So maybe they do that in Britain at the time.
He's like, listen, this is how we do it. Okay, I also drink craft beer.
Yeah, like whatever.
He's the only one in this time period drinking craft beer.
Oh, because he was like way ahead.
He was way ahead of the curve.
Why don't you just flip off the car like anybody else would do?
Because he is British. He's a gentleman.
He's a gentleman.
He's a gentleman
and a scholar.
Have you heard some British people? Thank you. Like, have you heard some? British
those are the Cockney ones.
Yeah.
The ones that are like
not the.
Thank you.
The northern ones. Wait, northern ones are the Cockney guys, right? The southern ones are like the preppy ones. Not the preppy, but like the gentleman guys.
I think it's
Or is it just like from the center
around? I think that's around London.
It's like the preppy.
I think that's the.
We're from America. We don't care.
We don't care.
I think that's just associated with like the underclass people, because it was flip flop before. The wealthy people talked like that.
Oh yeah,
it flip flopped.
It did.
It was like, oh, they're talking like that. Ooh.
Yeah, we're getting a little.
We're not talking like this anymore. Those guys are talking like that.
It's not cool anymore.
It's not cool anymore.
So you tell me like the road through like. Well, good night, Dad. You do that fucking weird Cockney shit.
Like, these guys are talking like that now. We got to come up with our own.
They must have sounded so fancy.
But so obviously the Cuban exiles they had their gripes. They wanted Kennedy dead. So that's why this comes into it being a possible thing.
I mean,
the CIA was mad that Kennedy was anti, their Operation Cuba.
Well, I mean, anti listening to them.
And
listening to them. Really, like he didn't give a fuck. And then there's like,
and also, they're anti.
That was me.
They're anti, even listening, and even potentially dismantling their organization. That they think.
Well, that
they're doing the best interest for the American people,
Yeah, well, he's going for like peace and shit.
Yeah.
And during peace, you can't conquer, take over shit. You can't have war that does all that other shit.
Well, not even that. I think a lot of people at that time were afraid of communists. They were afraid of the big red empire across the way.
Yeah. So
they were afraid of the communists. Soviets. Which leads us into the next.
Yes.
The KGB. They were the ones who trained Lee Harvey Oswald to take that shot.
Be the double, triple agent.
Yeah.
Whatever, yeah.
So here's the thing is Lee Harvey Oswald went to and lived in Belarus, Russia, so outside of Minsk, which is right in Belarus. He lived there, married a Russian woman. He had kids, and he defected from the U.S. and tried to get citizenship in Soviet Russia.
He tried to defect. I heard a thing. I did a little in the research I did about him.
Yeah,
because I listened to a whole podcast about him, and evidently, like he was in the military. I don't know where this guy gets his sources, so take it at a grain of salt. But he was like very open about being communist while he was in the military.
Yeah.
While he was told everyone about it.
Yeah.
And then eventually, I think he got out or did his tour, and then he ended up going to Russia, and then once he was in Russia, was like, hey, I got all the good. Like he instantly wants to just dime on him. I want to be like, I'll tell you about my military service, and I think it comes into the U-2 bombing projects because he was on the base of
the surveillance project.
Yes, it's the
U-2
spy plane. That's what it was.
Yep, the spy plane.
And he's like, hey, I know all about this fucking,
Hey, they're spying on us right now.
They're spying on us right now. I can tell you all about it, guys.
Yep.
I just want to be a part of you.
So, and that's why one of them got shot down over.
Supposedly, they don't think that was Oswald though.
Yeah.
There was 2 other generals that defected that were like, it definitely came from them, not Oswald. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
I heard he was a part of it.
He could have. It's speculated.
Yeah.
Like that's more like it could have. Like if you're really going for the Oswald was a Russian spy, then you definitely want him.
I'm going for
it.
I think he was a Russian spy.
I don't know. I think he was
lived in Belarus. He lived in Minsk.
I think he was
Russian doll babies.
I think he was just
Russian
an idiot.
babies.
I think he was an idiot. I think you joined the military wanting to be a part of that. And they didn't want him. And then he was a Russia and hey, I'm gonna be your guy, man. I know all this shit. I'll tell you all about those bombers. And yeah, we know.
Here's the problem, though. I think a lot of people think he's just an idiot. I don't think that's the case. I don't think that Lee Harvey Oswald was an idiot.
Obviously, he's not an idiot in the sense that he's not capable. Because obviously, he's capable. Because he has all these international shit that he goes to the Mexico consulate to try to go to Cuba, right, or some shit like that. So he's going he goes to Russia for years. He spends time there. To This guy's fucking crossing the globe, trying to get shit, like doing shit.
I mean, the KGB's report of him was that he was basically a not great soldier. You know,
mediocre.
He was very mediocre. He was, not a guy that you would expect to be a superstar. You know what I mean?
See, even the Russians thought he was stupid.
Isn't that what you would say about somebody who you?
Oh, because you're a spy. You don't want to be like, oh yeah, man, that one.
Oh, this guy is a superstar.
No,
it's not what you say about your double agent.
Nah, I never thought of that because like the history books and shit. It's like, oh yeah, Oswald, that guy was a fucking idiot. In actuality, he's like the fucking super spy. It's like everyone's fighting over him. What side is fucking Oswald on? Because that's the side that wins.
Or what if it's the opposite, where he was mediocre and was just so determined to prove himself that he was like, let me be your bitch boy.
I think that's exactly what it was.
And you know what I mean? So I think and they were like, you know what? He's not going to make it. Like, someone's going to take him out for doing this.
Yeah.
Maybe it is interrelated. They were like, go ahead. Prove that you can do this. So he does it.
Fucked up on
or maybe he's just so mediocre, it's like, no one's going to think this guy's a threat. He's going to go completely under the radar because he's a fucking idiot.
Because when they were investigating, they saw him on the floor. There was something that said that. I don't know exactly what it was.
They knew he was there.
They knew he was in there.
Well, they knew 5 months beforehand that he was there.
Yeah, that's what it was.
What do you mean? Where?
In the building, in the depository.
The book depository. They knew he was a political dissident and that he
works there.
He worked in the book depository.
Yeah.
And they were just like, whatever. They didn't even provide that information. The CIA did not provide that information with the FBI to let them know. They also didn't even provide them with the route that they were going to take for the parade itself.
Oh.
So they got the information when they released the information.
Yeah.
So I mean that. There was no shared information between the two groups.
But they still ended up catching. Is that what you're saying?
Well, not even that. It's just that it seemed like they really did a half-assed job of protecting the president in the first place. But also, if you are KGB, this guy might be your best chance to create,
confusion and
disorder within the government. I mean, this guy, he's not really taken serious by anybody.
It seems like he wants to be the guy so bad, and then
he's clearly Marxist.
Yeah,
he's lived in the communist states. He
he could have been an agent.
Yeah, he buys a Italian surplus rifle, gets a couple rounds, and he goes to the book depository and kills the president.
Yeah. Like, motive was always an issue for him, though, too. Like, he was against, he was very communist and against capital. He was a commie. Mm-hmm. But, he didn't specifically, he didn't get the chance to when he was assassinated, but, they never figured out, why did they target Kennedy specifically? That was always a thing, something I read about.
And they'll never know. I mean,
they will.
If you look at it from the Russian perspective, is at this time you are at Cold War with the United States, right? What is the biggest power move but to take down the president of the free world?
Well, no, it's not just
while after they just recently had this huge debacle with Cuba.
Say that it was the Russians and Oswald was working for them.
Yeah.
Right? It's kind of obvious that he's potentially a spy.
Yeah.
So if we catch this man 45 minutes after he shot the president, we interrogate him, we know all this other shit. If it goes back to Russia, we immediately know it was Russia.
And it's World War III.
It's fucking World War III. Yeah. It's like...
No, and that's the biggest, that's the biggest defense to why it wouldn't be.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just
it's tough because, Russia has clearly, like, been a factor within U.S. politics forever, right? I mean, since they've been the Soviet Union.
Well, I mean, especially at the time.
People say in the 40s they literally spent millions of dollars to keep us isolationists while they had an alliance with the Nazi Germany, you know? Obviously, they split Poland in half, and they were like, hey, you get this side, I get this side. Yeah.
How did that work out?
Hey, comrade, you get this side, you get that side.
Yeah.
We'll pay the Americans to not come over here.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's really... They easily could have been a factor in the Kennedy assassination.
Absolutely. It definitely could have. It could have been, yeah.
But
100%.
The next big one, this one is the one I feel like I see being
legit.
The most
plausible.
Yeah, plausible, most legit one is the Mafia with the CIA.
Really? That's the one you'd go with?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I think so. I think the Mafia and CIA, it just makes sense because of all the stuff that was going on at the time, right? The Mafia, they're, right, the Bay of Pigs, huge debacle. They have tons of business interest in Cuba. They lost out on, all millions of dollars in these casinos, all their businesses that were abroad over there. Not just that. In Vietnam, they had tons of money invested in the heroin.
Poppy fields,
all that stuff coming from Vietnam. If there was a strategic, like we're not in Vietnam anymore, they're losing lots of money from all this heroin that's no longer coming into the country, right? So it's like they had a lot to lose. Not to mention that they thought that, especially the Chicago branch of the Mafia, thought that they helped put JFK in presidency in the first place. They thought that they did so what happened was, a long time ago, JFK's dad was a bootlegger, and he actually worked with the crime syndicates in Chicago. And it's thought that maybe that when his son became president, that basically the Mafia would be getting entrance into the White House.
And, well, he got his son in.
Yeah, right? And then they thought, we have an ally in the White House.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the case.
Yeah, because he was strongly against crime. Like, he wanted to get rid of it.
Illinois was one of the two swing states that ended up turning out for his election win. And Chicago, obviously big state big city in Illinois, could have been the difference. So they were strategically, basically campaigning for Kennedy to be the president because they thought they'd have an ally in the White House.
Yeah.
Instead, they got the opposite. Bobby Kennedy ends up being the Attorney General, and he's doing all this anti-crime stuff that's really hurting.
Like, he was more gung-ho about it than even JFK. Yeah, he was like the really, really going in on it.
And he was really hurting business for the Mafia. But where it all ties in with the CIA is the CIA actually had used the Mafia to help take out, they were trying to use the Mafia to help with assassinations across the globe, including with one called Operation Mongoose, which was to take out Fidel Castro.
Which they did a shitty job at, right?
Which they did not do a good job at. I mean, obviously the mob is good at taking people out, but maybe not foreign dictators.
Yeah, I mean, it's different from, like, driving by and shooting fucking the Godfather on the side of the street, but, like, actually going to a foreign diplomat.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure they had the mob probably has connections all over the place, especially in Cuba, because they get they probably get drugs from them, maybe.
Well, they had not only
was it
drugs, but there was a lot of casinos.
Oh, so it was mostly casinos. It was like
it was a lot of casinos and you know all the other stuff that come along. With that, you know, brothels, all that kind of stuff, all the dark, you know, back alley.
What's it called? Yeah, I know what you mean.
All the
vice, the vice.
Yeah, the drug houses, the dens, the opium dens, all that stuff.
Yeah,
they had probably all that in Chicago.
So I mean, you know what? Maybe I get that. I get it. I think it's not too far off too, because who was that we watched that documentary and that guy was like the old guy was like, I'm the one that shot JFK from the grassy knolls.
Yeah. What was his name? What's the guy who said that he?
James Niles. Yes, that's what it was.
James Niles says that he shot JFK from the grassy knoll.
And he was a mob affiliate, right?
He is a mob affiliate. He's a mob hitman.
Yeah.
But basically, you know, the mafia and CIA had all this
mutual. They would both be
the mutual interest.
Yeah, they would both benefit from his death. Yeah.
So Oswald would have probably been working for the CIA, being the first shooter. So James Niles says that he took one shot.
Yeah.
And that was after the sign. So that's the kill shot.
So that's the headshot.
Yeah, that's the headshot. Yeah. So James Niles, who's the mob affiliate, is the one who apparently takes out JFK. They put the blame on Oswald. Oswald takes the first two shots. He misses. And potentially there were more. You know, people heard 6
This is the thing. This is the only problem with that theory, though. Is like, if the mob did it, right?
Yep.
If that guy did it.
Yeah.
Why would it seem like the big cover-up? Like to pin it all on Oswald?
Because then you have the CIA involved.
Why don't you just say this criminal killed him? Like, these criminals were together. The guy's a mob guy.
Yeah.
He's a criminal. I mean, it's not like...
Well, I think because at the time, people associated the CIA with the mob because of their intertwined...
I mean, even so, but, like, publicly, like, if to go out and say this isn't necessarily all that damning.
Yeah.
Because, like, what's the story that it seems like they were pushing for hardcore was that it was Oswald.
Yeah.
And Oswald's like not retired, but was he discharged? Was he
discharged?
What's it called? Dishonorably discharged, right? Or was he just, did he leave?
I don't know. Was he dishonorably discharged?
Let's find out.
I mean...
Well, either way, you have this, like, ex-fuck-up soldier that's, like, a communist guy, or you have just a mob guy, a mob hitman.
Well, I think they used both.
Right? Even, I kind of agree with that.
So the theory was that Oswald and him would shoot, right? And either way, they're getting the death, but they're getting the blame on Oswald. And then the CIA would kind of like hush it on the table, and Oswald would die. Because they thought that Oswald would get killed.
Alright, what I'm saying is this. For the cover-up thing to be as seemingly, like, crazy as it is, because all these deaths and all this stuff is really being covered up, it's like, you'd almost be better off just being like, that criminal guy over there shot him too. Instead of... Because if you cover it up...
So it was technically undesirable. So it was just right above dishonorable discharge. It started off as honorable.
Undesirable?
It started off as honorable, and then he actually got a letter sent to his mom informing him that the Marines had actually changed it from honorable to dishonorable, essentially.
For the record, it's James Files, too.
James Files?
James Files.
I did have.
I mean, James Files, I don't see why the government would have to cover that up, though. Because, you can't throw the hitman.
Why would you go back when you already have the guy who's already got the rap taken?
Because
it's a rap. Boom, he's done. We don't have to talk about it anymore. That's what they wanted.
That's what they wanted. And I think if they were just open about being 2 gunmen, you wouldn't have the conspiracy that you do now. Yeah. That's going on to this day.
Yeah, but it's going on to this day, but what has really happened that would really...
change it?
Yeah. There's conspiracy theories, but like...
Yeah, but this is the thing with this conspiracy like, well, not conspiracy, what actually happened is, like, everyone that could shed light on this is dead, and all the documents are either destroyed or, like, it's so buried.
Yeah.
We'll never know the truth.
Maybe.
You think there's hope?
I think there'll probably be a time in which we will be able to somewhat know. Maybe if these files get,
released
what Trump released, like, thousands of documents, but then the last minute he, like,
held back, right?
like a couple hundred documents.
What is that? It's like, all right, you gave us all the fluff, but the shit that you kept is
he was like,
the real juicy
wait
shit.
a minute, they told me that I have to keep these ones. Okay, I was just gonna take them all out, but can't do that. Listen, no more. We can't do that anymore.
Yeah, this is the one when they.
These are the only ones you can see. Okay, I get to read the rest of them.
So, what do you?
He's got somebody reading to him. Like
reading it to him.
Imagine like every night, like somebody's reading to Trump.
Give me the classified documents, like as a bedtime
story. Give me the ones that we didn't send to everybody else. Just read them to me, please.
No, give me the Area 51 one. I want to know about the aliens. And it's like, Trump, we can't do that. It's a fucking maybe.
I'm the president.
I'm the president. Show me the aliens. I know you got them.
But yeah, I mean, it could have. They had every ability to do that, right?
I think it was... Alright, what do you think? Let's get into, like, what do you think happened?
No, I mean, we gotta continue the Mafia CIA.
I think that's the extent you can get. It's like, if they did...
Lee Harvey Oswald, right? He's placed the blame.
Yeah.
Okay, right?
He's the fall guy.
So...
Well, he's not necessarily the fall guy because he does shoot.
He goes out, he leaves the book suppository, he ends up shooting another police officer, going to the theater, getting arrested.
Yeah.
Maybe he had I think he was supposed to die in that theater, but I think maybe he had a change of heart.
Well, hold on. Whether or not he died in that theater, it didn't matter.
No, if he died in that theater, I think that's it. It's game over.
Before he was able to give an official statement or anything, because like they say like they talked at the shit, or they talked when he got down to the station. And they did interrogate him and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But, like, they didn't really get much from him.
Yeah.
So, like, he dies...
He said he didn't do it.
Yeah, I mean, he's just fucking around. They're like...
Yeah. He seemed like he was just, like...
Yeah, being a dick.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, they didn't
He's smiling the whole time.
He ended up dying anyway. And it's like, if you found out, like, say, the Warren Commission or the people in charge found out that there was a second gunman on the grassy knoll, and then this guy that was... a mobster or something like that. Why not just release that? If it was truly the mafia, then what's the hurt?
But what if it wasn't just the mafia and it was the CIA, a government entity?
Well, if it was the CIA, then they have to cover it up.
Exactly. So what if they had? That's what I'm saying. It's not just mafia.
But
it's
I'm saying
mafia,
if
CIA.
they used mafia, they could just cut ties with that guy. The mafia.
I think
turn on each other all the time.
I think if you can tie it back to the government, then you just don't want to even. You don't want to have these guys folding.
No, you want to kill them right after it.
Yeah. Which
kind of happened, but then
a lot of these mafia bosses ended up dying after the fact. After they openly admitted that they had something to do with JFK's assassination.
I suppose
there was 3 mafia bosses who admitted to being a part of one in Miami, one in Chicago.
The Chicago was like the big guy.
Yeah, he was the big guy.
He had the ties to.
He had the ties already to JFK's family, and he ended up passing away after saying he had ties to JFK's assassination.
I think he was saying, "Oh, I'm gonna."
He knew, what was his name? Jack Ruby. He knew Jack Ruby. They had talked on the phone. So the Warren Commission had said that they didn't even that Ruby had no ties to the mafia. Yet he had 50 hours of phone time talking to Chicago.
No shit.
Yeah. Not to mention that beforehand, Jack Ruby, basically. I believe he was in Chicago and he was a part of like some mob actions.
He was like a small time criminal. Like
he was a small time criminal, and he came to Texas after the fact, after his mob affiliations, but he ran a shady nightclub that, like, the police never, like, investigated. There was no,
Did he run the bar?
He owned it.
He owned the bar?
He owned the bar, ran the bar.
Really? I thought he just worked at the bar.
No. He owned.
Oh. No
this
shit.
guy wasn't this guy's not like a...
The way it was described when I was looking at it, they described Jack Ruby as like mentally ill. Like he wasn't all there.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what you would want, right? This guy who's all fired up about the president dying, and he just took action and killed
take my gun. This
guy who just took action. Instead, there was known phone logs of him calling, Chicago before this.
After the shooting.
Yeah, after the shooting, before he shot Oswald.
Yeah. So he was talking with Chicago for 50 hours?
So, I mean, this guy, the Warren Commission said that there was no mob affiliation with Jack Ruby.
Well, it's a phone call. You can't prove it was from the mob.
Yeah, but still, you don't do your due diligence and just say, this guy didn't...
Who has done... It seemed like no one did their due diligence on
Nobody
any
did their
official capacity.
But that's what I mean. So, the mob clearly has... There's something here, right? They have everything to gain with the CIA.
I guess if you look at it this way, and the CIA really is looking after or covering the mob.
Not only that,
then maybe
but the mob bosses in Chicago also had ties with Hoover, who said this: "The thing I am concerned about is having something issued so we can convince the public that Oswald is the real assassin."
Yeah, because that was what the Trump documents, right? That was one of the newest ones?
Yeah, that was released in 2017. So Hoover said basically, I mean, you can read that one of two ways, but, like, it seems like we need to cover this up so that people know that Oswald is the only assassin.
Yeah. I believe that there was two people. So, I mean, again, it's like... You would have to believe that the CIA is really looking after the mafia. Yeah. Looking after their back.
Well, they need them.
Out of a shared interest to be like, oh, if they get caught, then they're going to rat me out.
They need them from Operation Mongoose, too.
Yeah. I guess.
They're still working with them.
I guess, because then it's like they're protecting assets.
Yeah, these are their assets.
Yeah. All right, I get it. It's possible.
I mean... The Mafia CIA thing, the reason why I think that one's the most plausible is just...
Well, all the factors.
They had so much to gain from it. You know what I mean? And with the embarrassment to the CIA, it was like, yeah, let's just get this done.
Well, yeah, I mean,
this guy openly says that he shot the president. I mean, he could be a crazy guy and just say he shot the president like a lot of other people.
He looks fucking crazy. He looks pretty crazy. He doesn't look crazy.
He doesn't look... But technically, would you really only have this one guy? If you're the Mafia and CIA...
How many you need? You just need a man with a gun that can know how to shoot.
Yeah, but do you really only have two shooters? I think there were more than two.
I think there was two.
You think there were two?
Yeah, well...
I think you were probably looking at 3 or 4. I think there were multiple shooters ready to take the shot.
Let's get into what are the main things though.
Yeah, we'll get a... I mean, do you want to talk about magic bullet theory? We didn't even talk about that.
I want to get into what I think.
Okay,
you get into the magic thing too. All right. But it looks like all of these conspiracies though do kind of... in order for the CIA, the Lyndon B. Johnson to be true, right? Doesn't necessarily mean that the mob conspiracy is not true.
Yeah.
It almost seems like all of these could coexist in some capacity, right? So it's like, how many fucking people were having a gun wanting to kill Kennedy at this particular time? And did Kennedy want to die because he's everyone's telling him not to do it with the fucking open roof and everything, but he's like, nah, I'll be fine. No one's gonna shoot me. It seems like everyone, including Kennedy, wanted to kill him that day.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you have how many people in there on the grassy knoll? Like, how many guns do you have there pointed at the president?
Yeah.
Like, in all these conspiracies, I just believe there was another lone gunman guy. I don't know what he was. It had to do something with the government or CIA, because it's either that or there was just another guy that helped Oswald shoot the guy, because the footage, it just seems like two people shot him from two different directions.
Yeah.
That's what, and even like the body, like the autopsy, like the pictures and the video, I just see, it looks like two people shot him from two different directions. And on top of that, after everyone losing their shit and just like, after they just break every procedure in the book and just gross incompetence, it's either that they were just a bunch of fucking idiots that don't know what the fuck is going on, or they were, the guy that shot him was a CIA operative and they had like this super, like, they have so much power and authority that they could just make this go away and cover everything up.
Yeah.
So I think it's either one of those.
Yeah.
But I mean, do you find more comfort in the cover up or the fact that it's gross incompetence?
Yeah.
I mean, me personally, I can kind of get into the thing that, like, they are all just they just fucked up monumentally.
Yeah, you think they just fucked up?
I mean, maybe if the CIA even, like, pointed the gun and gave him to, like, Oswald was an operative and maybe the mafia guy was there too.
Yeah.
Since it was on camera, it was just such a fuck up. Like, because they fucked up with the Operation Mongoose. How many times did they try to kill fucking Castro? They couldn't do it. And then they come together and they finally fucking kill Kennedy. And then it's like the shitstorm. No one knows what the fuck's going on. Everything starts to crumble and fall apart. And I think it was just incompetence. Because at the end of the day, when you look at this, like, when you really look at it, it just seems like America at that time was fucking, like, the big agencies were very incompetent.
Yeah.
Like, it just seemed like, and to have that be, like, the truth, you would need a cover-up to be like, it's a save face. I'm not incompetent, I'm not stupid. I'm fucking just so badass and shady that I can the country can kill its own president or have this spooky shit happen and we can make it go away. Like, we have this shadow government that's way fucking stronger than even Russia is. Because at the time it was like everyone's scared, and like, to admit whatever fuck up happened.
Yeah.
Whether it was the CIA or not, I think it would be more dangerous to the country at the time than just to, so they come up with the boogeyman.
Well, I mean, for me, it's like, I think it's easier to say, hey, like, this guy, Lee Harvey Oswald, decided to take the president's life just because he was the distraught guy. He was just fed up with the system that he lived in. He's Marxist. He's a communist. He just wants to take his shot at democracy and capitalism, right? He just wants to show the world.
He wants to be the guy.
He wants to be a hero, and that's why he did it, right? It's just easier to say that, and like, I understand, because it's like a lot of people don't want to. It's like, it's very it's like not even like cool that this one guy
could alter history.
Basically could just kill a president and nothing else came from it. But it just doesn't sit right with the fact of the matter. Like, there was so many other things happening at that point that it's just so convenient for these people that this guy passed away. It's so convenient for the mob. It's so convenient for LBJ. It's so convenient for the KGB. So convenient.
But does it
for CIA?
But does it discredit do you make it the Oswald story just completely unbelievable that it wasn't just a lone guy that was the screw up?
I don't think it's just the one guy. I think he.
Do you think it's possible?
I think he had help, whether it was a government agency or a couple other people. I think he had to have help. I think, like I said, whether it was Well, it was the CIA.
Whoever it was.
Or maybe it was just the umbrella guy. You know, him and the umbrella guy. Him and the umbrella guy, the two guys together. Like, umbrella guy's just like, hey, no one's gonna fucking think anything about this.
They're gonna be so distracted by my umbrella. That's what I can see.
That's it. That's the sign.
No, he's the brains behind the whole operation, and he just goes to Oswald and be like, "You're gonna kill Kennedy.
Yeah.
This is gonna happen."
Hey, I brought my umbrella.
Yeah.
We're getting this done today.
When I raise it like this, that means you shoot him, okay? And that's like the extent of the fucking plan.
You got your rifle. I got my umbrella.
Let's do this.
We're doing this.
It changes the fucking alters the course of history.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of want it to be that. To be like a fucking bunch of idiots.
It's a nicer, lighthearted look at how history changed.
You know what? Because it's so fucking chaotic of a story to be like, all this bullshit come from this two dumbasses or one dumbass that killed the president. Like, just had the moxie and the fucking... Just did it.
I mean, if you look at that, it's like Beavis and Butthead, right?
It's
like Beavis and Butthead decided to change history that day.
But no, it's like Beavis and Butthead did this stupid thing, and then the government comes in and makes it look like it was a shady fucking conspiracy theory that happened. And then everyone's like, oh no, it wasn't these guys. It was we're the fucking boogeyman. We do whatever the fuck we want.
It was those two guys, and like everyone's like, they think it's the other agency, like the FBI. The FBI thinks it's the CIA. The CIA thinks it's the FBI.
Oh,
it's like that meme of Spider-Man when Spider-Man's pointing
they're like,
yeah.
But it's really just Oswald and the umbrella guy, and they're just like, yeah, we did that, but fucking everyone else, I guess, is taking credit for that.
No. What you have is like all different agencies, 5 people, all the people that mob the CIA, fucking LBJ in the back with a fucking rifle over there, right? And they're all sitting there, and then the first shot is Oswald, and he misses.
Yeah.
And then the rest of them are all fucking
That's
shooting all around.
Lady Bird wanted to be first lady.
Lady Bird's like, she got a gun too.
Yeah.
And they're all just fucking shooting. Like,
from 3 cars back.
Yeah, like everyone's got a gun. And like, say hypothetically there was 6 shots, all different guns.
Yeah.
You know, and all the conspiracies are real. That would be funny.
Yeah. I mean, like, it could be...
Who knows?
Who knows? Tell us what you think.
Yes.
Who do you think killed JFK? I mean, was it Oswald? Was it the CIA? KGB? I don't know. You let me know.
It was the aliens.
The aliens. The ghosts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let us know in the comments below, and please like and subscribe this... like this video and subscribe to us on YouTube. Yeah. And all of our other social media here on Facebook, Twitter.
What else?
Instagram. And Patreon. You can support us. So we can get better equipment and give you better stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
All right, everybody.
Take it easy.
Bye-bye.